we are almost drawing to a close, 7-8 more minutes, but we would like to take questions from the public. If any of you have any questions, we would be delighted to answer.
I'd like to borrow the microphone.
Yeah, maybe, well, for the whole panel and maybe more for Jane. I'm Philippe Fontaine. I was working with GSK and then with Sanofi in the past. I was wondering to answer the question about the access and the price and what should be done. You definitely answered what we all think about, which is the patent and when you have generics on the market. But what about also the differential pricing strategy for new medicines? And I was a bit used to that with the vaccines, at least when I was working at GSK Vaccines. Is that something which is developing these days?
You mean in different parts of the world?
Yeah.
Sort of, we call it tiered pricing.
Yeah, tiered pricing.
So we do subscribe to a tiered pricing policy in J&J. So, we try to match the price with the affordability. There's always a challenge in the EU, as you know, because there's price referencing across the countries. This is currently managed to some extent by confidential negotiated net prices. And that's common within the industry, I believe. But of course, that's not public. And so it's a difficult conundrum to address. But it's not only about the price. There are a number of mechanisms that the industry, J&J, puts forward to try to address the affordability issue. One is a pay for performance, and there have been some notable successes in that area. One of our medicines for hematological malignancies had a pay for performance in the UK many years ago, and it worked well. Patients got the medicine. I think the payers were pretty pleased with the fact that it's worked well. But it has required to collect data on outcomes, and that's what we were just talking about. To be able to have a pay for performance, you need to know what the outcome is, and then you either, if it works, you pay, and if it doesn't work, you get the money back. There's lots of mechanisms to cap budgets, to have evidence generation, to support whether value for money is being gained. So there are a number of very innovative pricing mechanisms that we as a company have introduced in many countries in Europe now to try to ensure as full an access as possible. And then outside of the EU, in countries with middle income and low income countries, of course, the tiered pricing kicks in, and we have very different price points across the world. So it's a pity there isn't greater knowledge of all of that, because in the big debate, there's just the big thing, pharmaceutical prices are too expensive, full stop. Whereas I think you probably know, if you've worked for the industry, that there's a lot more behind that. Our objective is try to get great medicines to as many people as we possibly can. That's in the interest of everybody.
Any more questions?
I guess I would like to pick up on that last comment. Like, what more can the industry and the policymakers do to change that image? Because, I mean, there's something in the filter that distorts, and, pharma companies are depicted as evil and culprits, and in fact, the lion's share are working for the greater good. And I'm wondering if you could speak a bit towards increasing literacy and other endeavors that might shift that balance. That was a question for you, Jen.
Maybe someone else should answer that, because I think
I
know what I'd like to do. I'd like to shout it from the rooftops more, but...
No, you have to take... You represent the regulatory part, so it's also the regulators, but afterwards, because you've done life in a smaller company as well, and so you may have views on that as well.
At the origin of this bad reputation, there is a specific phenomenon in Southern Europe, which is the idea that you can't make profit in health, which is totally wrong. But I mean, it's a cultural problem, strong opposition to patent and so on. So it took us years and years to persuade this country to accept patents and that there should be a return on. But industry didn't help so much because for a long time, industry, the prescription medicine industry, thought that their target were the prescribers and not the public. And of course, they were also prevented from talking directly to the public for other reasons. And the OTC industry, for the general public, they are the nice guys because they know, they know how to address the public. So this was a structural problem which industry in the meantime has tried to overcome, but there is still a residue of this old hostility which sometimes comes back, especially in France or in countries like that. And the whole pricing is a real farce because in France, pricing measures are very tough, but consumption is very high, so that at the end of the day, industry benefits as much from a free market as from a regulated market. So it's a total illusion, but it's very difficult for politicians to address these issues directly, and it's easier to blame the industry. That's the easy way out. But industry has to do their own job in not only complaining or lobbying, but also talking in more general terms about the benefits they bring to society. Because people, in the same paper, they will read on one page the promises of a new treatment, which is not even available, and then 2 pages later, they blame the industry for whatever, and it's the same industry.
And Pierre, I would like you just to speak a bit of your journey, because you also come from the industry, and now you are working together with industry and see the other side as well, towards this path of rethinking ourselves, you know. How can we all play a role, and you in particular, what are your learnings from your own journey?
Well, I mean, I think it's a huge communication, transparency issue, how the things work in different sectors, and how we can articulate the value of where these different partners bring. And obviously we're not doing a good job of that. So as I said before, I think the patient voice is going to be very, very important in this, because they'll be driving a lot of this in the future. There's no magic bullet, but I think I just think we need to communicate better.
So our time is up, and I want to cut it off before you guys saying it's media's fault because we're not portraying things the right way. I would like to thank you so much for having been with us tonight, this evening, and I just would like to go back to a few crucial words that we used here, and I think that those words were integrity, ethics, patient-centric, education, working together, collaboration of all stakeholders. And I think that maybe part of the answer is for all the stakeholders to work on the values that will help federate not only the different stakeholders, but the patients as well, and try to work towards a common goal, which is to try and lessen this burden and to give as much health solutions to the people who need it. So thank you so much for being with us. I hope you enjoy the coming 24 hours, and now is the drinks, so we're all going to head there.